It's scissors and scrubs time. Do. Welcome back. I'm Nichole.
I'm Laura.
And this week we're going to discover. We're going to that's discover and discuss, Laura. That's one word called
That's nice.
discover.
I like that.
We're going to talk about some famous inventors, scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
one of my guys, you see his name constantly today if you work in any kind of medical field.
I've never seen this name and I literally still don't know how to say it, but.
Do we use his things? That sounded dirty.
We use things. We know things because of what he did.
All right.
Okay.
I'll take it.
All right.
So you're going to kick it off with?
Oh, man.
Come on. You have to say his name.
I'm calling him Anthony the whole time because his first name is Anthony. It's Anthony Van. I'm going to spell it for you. Leeuwenhoek.
Let's call me it.
Leeuwenhoek.
Leeuwenhofen.
I'm calling him Anthony.
Pfaffenuggen.
Yes. Anthony was born on October 24th, 1632.
Woo!
In Delft, Netherlands.
We're going way back.
Yeah, we are. He was the fifth son of a basket maker.
Not a basket maker.
At 16, he left Delft to become an apprentice of a dry goods seller in Amsterdam for 6 years. He then returned to Delft, married the daughter of a local brewer, and opened and ran his own fabric/drapery shop. During his 12
So
years...
he sold dry goods, married a girl who owns a bar, and decided to sell
Her father
drapery.
was a brewer.
Yeah, but I mean, hello.
Yeah. And then he wanted to get into fabrics.
Oh.
Is
he gay?
No. During his 12-year marriage to his wife, Barbara, they had 5 children, 4 of whom died in infancy.
Oh, that's tragic.
Yep. Then Barbara passed away as well.
Oh, wow.
That's why the marriage was only 12 years. Mm-hmm. During this time, he held odd jobs along with running his store. Like he was the chief custodian of the local courthouse, and he was also the town surveyor. Being a surveyor, though, meant that he had knowledge of geometry, which is a clue at his future in science. He was an uneducated man that,
right.
But if to be a surveyor, you had to know geometry to do the plots and
Makes
stuff.
sense.
So spherical lenses, I'm going to segue into just spherical lenses. Yeah. So spherical lenses have been
It's a normal segue, Laura.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did I talk about those spherical lenses?
They've been found in remnants of the oldest civilizations, meaning people have been using glass to clarify things for thousands of years.
Interesting.
The oldest known handcrafted lens is a piece of ground rock crystal that can magnify objects 3 times, which was discovered in a 3,000-year-old Assyrian palace.
Wow.
So glass is natural. So someone picked it up and was like, oh, I can see straight.
I can read.
So they've been using glass to magnify things for thousands and thousands of years. That being said, lenses never really exceeded the power of modern reading glasses until the 1590s. That is when Dutch lens maker Hans Janssen built a microscope capable of 9 times magnification in 1590.
Wow.
This caught everyone's attention, and many people started copying his contraptions. Galileo made one of his telescopes into a microscope using Janssen's modifications, and it was observed it could, quote, show flies which appear large as a lamb, unquote. In 1665, Robert Hooke published Microphasia, which was a huge hit and bestseller and put microscopes into the public eye. Hooke's book had observations, illustrations, and simple instructions on how anyone could make their own lenses. He said to hold a thin hair of glass over a flame until a bead forms, quote, which will hang at the end of the thread, quote. Then you need to snap off the bead, which is the spherical lens that can magnify objects. So this little bead at the end of the glass hair is the lens that magnifies things. Well, in Antony's 30s, for some reason, he became obsessed with lenses. He never stated why.
He just became obsessed.
Mm-hmm. He may have used them. Some people think he may have used lenses to inspect the cloth, like the drapery, at his shop. And that spurred him to be like, oh, maybe I can make a better one. Or he could have read Hooke's book and decided, wait a minute, I can do better than
this.
Let me
I can
see
do
if
better
I
than
can
9
make a
times.
microscope.
Yeah.
And then, either way, In 1668, he became obsessed with microscopy and would travel with his lenses. Like when he went anywhere, he would bring a lens with him.
Imagine him at a party.
I know.
Hey, to show you my lenses.
Hey, let me look at your face.
Hey, wait a minute. Give me watch what my lens can do.
He traveled to Dover, and we all know there's those white cliffs of Dover.
The white cliffs of Dover.
And he's like, gosh, I got to put some of that white under this microscope.
Get my lens. Hold on a minute.
I've got to get my lens out.
I don't go anywhere without it.
And he wrote down in his works, quote, I observed that chalk consists of very small transparent particles. And these transparent particles laying upon one another is, methinks now, the reason why chalk is white.
I'm going to start talking like that. Methinks now, Laura.
Now.
I'm going to go eat.
This is his published stuff.
Methinks now. This is cold down
Again, not an educated man. But he was like, they're all transparent, but just because there's so many of them, it makes it look white. By 1673, Antony was making the most powerful lenses in the world, but in complete obscurity. No one knew he was doing this. So that is until Dr. Rainier de Graaf, who was well known for doing experiments with dye to determine organ function, introduced.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? He was doing what?
He used dye to determine like the functions of organs, like he could see what traveled through it or blood flow or whatever.
I didn't know what you just said right there.
He introduced Antony to the British Royal Society.
Oh, the British Royal Society.
Mm-hmm. Antony then wrote the Royal Society 6 letters describing things he had observed with his lenses. Because he was obsessed.
He was like, hey, dude, you know what I have? I have some lenses. Mm-hmm. You know what I can do with these?
I'm going to tell you what I saw.
Let me wait till I tell you what I see with these lenses.
So he said he saw the body parts of a louse.
Methinks I see the body parts of a louse.
In the globules in milk. This is what he's writing to the Royal Society.
And they're like, this guy's a moron.
And the structure of his fingernails. Mm-hmm. Then, on September 7th, 1674, he wrote a letter describing a creature, quote, with green and very glittering little scales, quote, which he thought, like he assumed, were 1,000 times smaller than a mite. So he was seeing things 1,000 times smaller than a mite. So the Royal College is like, meh.
Do you think they were like sitting in front of the fireplace? They'll have their pipes and then like get a load of what we just
got another letter from Antony.
Globules in milk with his lenses.
So after the last one, it was like, you're seeing what? Yeah. Like you can see what? The Royal College writes him back and asked him pretty much, how do you see these? And by what method? So we can have other scientists do this to confirm that this is actually there. Because they had no idea this stuff was even there. Antony refused to tell them how he made his lenses. Would not tell them.
I don't blame him.
So Hooke, who wrote that book about making lenses and was into microscopes, he learned to speak Dutch so he could communicate with Antony.
Makes sense.
Specifically to ask him how he was getting these observations. Antony refused to speak to him.
Do you blame him? Because he knows what's going to happen. He really isn't as stupid. No. He thinks he's not as stupid as they think he is.
On October 9th, 1676, Antony sends another report to the Royal Society stating that
Guess what's under my toenails?
That he had looked at tons of objects and found things he called animalcules. Not molecules. Animalcules. Because there was no such thing.
No,
none of this existed.
What is he going to call them?
He looked at tons of objects and found animalcules in everything. He was like, they're everywhere. They are in everything.
Imagine finding that out for the first time.
I know. He found them in animals' bellies, his food, his mouth, in other people's mouths.
I can only imagine where he was taking his
Wait a minute, I'll tell you. He asked one person with exceptionally gross teeth.
Oh, I don't think that was hard to find.
For a sample of his plaque. When he looked at that plaque with his microscope, he found, quote, an inconceivably great number of little animalcules, end quote.
That's disgusting.
Once Antony himself had a bad stomach after some smoked hot beef.
He thinks he's going to vomit.
So he looked at a sample of his own stool under his microscope.
Oh, dude!
And found animalcules that were, quote, somewhat longer than broad, in their belly, which was flat-like, furnished with sundry little paws, end quote.
Paws.
With these observations, he became the first person in history to ever see a microorganism.
He is disgusting. Yeah. Could you imagine being like, give me that, give me the bucket, give me the chamber pot. I got to look at this.
I gotta look at this. That has some animalcules in it.
Let me get my lenses.
That discovery is one of the most significant for human health and the understanding of life on Earth. Antony had no idea that he had just discovered the second most abundant life form on Earth, microorganisms. He specifically identified, in these descriptions, he identified protozoa and bacteria, which are responsible for more than half of the deaths of every human to ever live. Antony's discovery provided the foundation of germ theory, which is the greatest leap forward in medical history. In 1677, Hooke finally recreated Antony's experiment well enough. Like, he didn't do it as great as him, but he did it well enough.
Because he's still not talking.
Yeah, to prove his observations were correct at a Royal Society gathering, which, qualified Antony's findings and made him famous. But Antony literally never explained how he made his lenses. Wouldn't tell anybody how he did it. He died in 1723. He made over 500 microscopes, and 11 are still around today, and only one that produces the 270 times magnification. 270 times That's magnification, which he used for those discoveries.
For his poops.
Yeah.
I hope they cleaned it.
Scientists in 2018 were like, we got to figure, how did he make this? Like, what did he do? Did he do this? Did he do that? Like, there was like, everyone always guessed, but they didn't want to take apart the one microscope that still did this because it's history. It would be like they would say it was like it would be like taking paint off like the Sistine Chapel or something. Like, you don't do that. So they used neutron tomography instrument to examine Antony's lens. So it's like some sort of nuclear whatever, but it can scan the object and tell you what's it. I don't know. It gives you a picture or a 3D. I don't know what it does, but it doesn't just.
Can you imagine that, like what we can do now?
I know. But they still didn't know how he did.
Like, this guy's like looking at his poops.
Yeah. So they wanted to see exactly how he built it. The scan showed he made it using the directions Hooke wrote in his book. He did it exact same way that Hooke told him to do it. But no one could ever do it as good as he did.
Well, he had mad skills.
Yeah. And this guy screwing around with lenses because he read a book, discovered microorganisms. Most
of science is because somebody did something.
And he was like non-educated. Literally writes methinks in the scientific papers.
Methinks me poops are infected.
I thought that was really cool. I never heard of him in my life.
I've never heard of him in my life.
He discovered germ. I mean, he was the basis of germ theory.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, but you know what? It still took him another 200 years to figure out how to wash your hands.
I know.
That's what's crazy.
I know.
Well, Laura, you're a man, Aunt Van. We have Mr. Zeiss. Zeiss.
Zeiss, I know.
A lot of German
Zeiss,
names.
I know that name.
Let me tell you, they had a very bad history. But had they not had that history, these Germans are fucking smart. Mm-hmm. Man, they have come up with some shit. Mm-hmm. Carl Zeiss, his biography was a lot of dry reading. All right. So I probably left out stuff I should have incorporated, but I could barely stay awake.
Okay.
All right. If you work in an operating room or in medical or in a hospital, you are going to know the name Zeiss. Mm-hmm. And Carl Zeiss is the founder of the name of all of these microscopes. We are intimately familiar with the Zeiss scopes. Mm-hmm. He is born to Johann Gottfried August Zeiss and Johanna Antoinette Friedrich Schmidt on September 11th, 1816. So not that long after your friend Aunt Van dies. He's like 1700
years later. Yeah.
His father, Johann, had worked crafting with pearl, amber, ivory, and other exotic materials. He made all kinds of shit with this. And he was really, really good at it. So he gets the attention of the Crown Prince, Karl Frederick, for whom Carl Zeiss is named after. So you're talking pre-World War I when they had archdukes.
Oh, we saw pictures of them in Austria.
Grand dukes, grand duchesses, they still have, so he is For the father to be friends with the crown prince would be the equivalent of you being friends with, a president or something like that. So it was a big deal. Carl's father Carl has younger brothers. He has sent his boys to prep school and eventually university. Prep school known as gymnasium school, as we were discussing earlier. Carl has an inguinal hernia that he suffers from, which at that time you do not operate on. You wear a truss, a nice corset to keep your hernia in. So this kind of does not make him conducive to desk work because it's very uncomfortable to sit in the truss, the glorified jockstrap. So he has now leaned towards natural sciences and technical studies, and he decides to pursue an apprenticeship as a master machinist. He basically goes to like a tech school, and he starts working as a machinist. He apprentices under a master machinist, Frederick Corner, for 4 years. The last 2 years of that, he also is attending lectures in mathematics and science because he likes them both. So he's double dipping. He completes his apprenticeship in 1838, and he begins his journeyman experience as a master machinist. Now, you're talking, this is the age of steam engines and locomotives coming out, and of course, this is what all young men are fascinated in doing. So that's where he is gravitating to. And he turns his attention fully to mechanical engineering. So between the years of 1838 and 1845, he is working throughout Germany, throughout Austria. He is working with a man called Hector Rossler. He makes optical and scientific instruments as well as steam power. So this is where he's introduced to his first, they're making microscopes, they're making eyeglasses. This is where he's first coming in contact with how to make lenses and other mechanical instruments for medicine. He wants to settle in Jena, Germany, and it goes through this whole thing of how long it takes him to set up an apprenticeship because it was very political about how you're going to get the license and the residency. And finally he sets up shop in Jena, Germany, and he hooks up with a botanist called Matthias Jacob Schleiden. And he has Zeiss very interested in optics as well and the need for highly qualified microscopes because the microscopes at this time are just they're not as good as they could be. So Zeiss is continuing to sit on lectures in science, and he's working with various professors on building different apparatuses so you can see better microscopes. On November 17th, 1846, he opens his workshop, and he had to borrow money from his brother to open this workshop. And it gets into the actual construction of the microscope, but our readers would have left and started listening.
Yeah, they were saying about he uses single lens. They use multiple.
I couldn't do it to you. You'd be listening to Nurse Jackie or something. You would leave us. So it goes into the constructs. So when you used to look at a microscope before Zeiss, you would look through a lens and you would move the plate that the stuff was on. He develops the cone. You move the optical lens and the plate doesn't move, which made it much easier for wet stuff on the microscope. You weren't fiddling with it and just the lens was moving. So he's the first one to develop you able to look at the microscope and move the eyepiece and not the plate that it's on. That's what it really gets into. So he's constructed and fixes different types of scientific apparatus. He's making loupes, eyeglasses, telescopes, microscopes, thermometers, barometers. So in 1847, he starts making smaller microscopes, which immediately are popular because they don't have to move the plate anymore. The people are really liking these. And as I said, his scopes could be focused by moving the eyepiece instead of the plate. It makes it more convenient for dissecting scope, and his scopes are cheaper. So within months, he has to hire assistants, and he moves to a bigger workshop. So by 1850, his scopes are being used by the University of Greifswald in Prussia, and he's running his workshops. Microscopes are made by the apprentices, and if they're not up to snuff, there's this huge anvil in the middle of the workshop, and your microscope, if it is not good, gets over and it's smashed to pieces on the anvil. You work from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., and you only have a 15-minute break in the midday. But even though his workers loved him. If you were going to be interviewed by him for a job, you were interviewed at his house. So he had been married. She dies within months. He remarries, and he has a couple of kids with this new woman. They set up this house, and he would invite you over. You would have wine, you would have dinner with him, and he would interview you. They would have company outings. He was extremely good to his employees. So in 1875, things are expanded. He opens a health clinic for the employees, which guaranteed free care and free medicine for his employees. Wow. 1875. This was like unheard of. If the worker couldn't work, wages were paid for 6 weeks, and you got half wages for an additional 6 weeks. Wow. Unheard of at this time. We're talking, we don't even have unions at this time. So he's known for his scopes, but he's known for his workplace ethics as well. So he hooks up with Ernest Abe. Doesn't that sound funny? Because all I think of is Honest Abe. Yeah, Ernst Abe. And he's able to develop a microscope with less lenses and easier and cheaper to use that give better results. They do it, again, it got so dry. His lenses were used, I forgot how they said it was used before, but he incorporates mathematic optical theory to make these lenses, which made them 1,000 times more powerful. And he's the first person to use mathematic equations to come up with lenses. And he's doing this with Ernst Abe. And he revolutionizes microscopes because they're thinking outside the box. So in 1847, he has made his 3,000th microscope, and he's celebrated, and he's up to 60 staff. In 1879, his son Roderick, who is grown up now, takes over, and he starts with the commercial and administrative duties. So he's really promoting the Zeiss scopes. He also makes important contributions in the designs, the sun, and the design of microphotographic apparatus. So now you can take pictures through the microscopes. Again, nobody had been doing this yet. In 1880, Carl Zeiss is awarded with an honorary doctorate from the University of Jena. In 1885, he suffers a small stroke, but completely recovers from his old tiny stroke. So by 1886, he's 70. He is awarded the Order of the White Falcons from the Grand Duke. Wow. He celebrates his 10,000th microscope. And then he suffers multiple strokes, and by December 3rd, 1888, he has died. He is best known for creating and improving optical lenses on optical theory and mathematical theory. His lenses and scopes are still in use and in demand as of today, hundreds of years later. Yeah. So those are two men that, think of what we're doing with what these men did. Right. People's lives that have been saved or things that they've seen, discoveries they've made, germs. He discovered germs.
Literally, no one had discovered bacteria.
We think he's discovered germs in his poops. Yeah. So there you go. So that's your little history lesson for the day. Send us some emails. We miss you guys. We haven't heard from anybody in a little while. Would love to hear from you. Send emails, send ideas. We use them, as you can see. And hopefully, by the next time we come back on air, I'm going to see flowers out in the backyard.
No more snow.
No more snow. No more snow. Enjoy the spring, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.